Hello student, welcome to Notebook. How do you think a sparrow feels among cows or horses? It must feel very small in size compared to such big animals.
However, the sparrow does not feel strange among these animals or frightened by them. This is because the sparrow has seen these animals for a long time. It has become used or accustomed to these animals.
However, the main character of our story today, Gulliver, feels very intimidated or frightened among the Brobdingnag or giant-sized men. How did Gulliver find himself among the Brobdingnag? We will find out as we study today's story. But first, let us learn a little about the author.
Jonathan Swift was born in Ireland in the year 1667. He was a satirist, essayist, poet and critic. He is best known till today for his satirical prose writings. Some of his popular works are A Modest Proposal, A Tale of a Tub and Gulliver's Travel. Gulliver's Travel is divided into 4 parts, which are A Voyage to Lilliput, A Voyage to Brobdingnag, A Voyage to Laputa, Balnibari, Lugnag, Glubbdubdrib and Japan, and A Voyage to the Land of Huonyms. The passages we are going to study now are taken from part 2, A Voyage to Brobdingnag.
Let us now start with our story for today. We observe that the first person, I, narrates the story from the very beginning. This style of writing is mostly used in autobiographies.
The first line of the story mentions the date on which the sailor Gulliver is separated from his crew and lands in a strange land. It is 16th of June 1730. He and a dozen of other men have gone off board to fetch water. Suddenly, a huge creature starts chasing his companions. Seeing his monstrous size, they run away in terror before Gulliver can catch up with them. Gulliver tries to achieve a distance between the monster and himself. He climbs up a steep hill which has fields of barley on both sides with fences between each field. The corn grows to 40 feet in height in these fields.
Here's a quick question for you. Do you find anything unusual about these fields? How tall is a typical corn tree? We soon find out that Gulliver is unable to climb the fence to pass from one field to the next because each step is 6 feet high.
Gulliver tries to find a gap in the hedge through which he can squeeze. Suddenly, a figure as large as the one he has encountered a little while back walks towards the fence. As Gulliver rushes to hide, he hears the monster calling his companions in a thunderous or very loud voice that is louder than a trumpet. 7 creatures of the same size gather to reap corn. Fearing for his life, Gulliver screams aloud when a farmer comes near his hiding spot with a huge reaping hook. Hearing Gulliver shout, the reaper lifts him 60 feet above the ground and holds him close to his face. He looks at Gulliver curiously, blowing his hair aside to properly see his face. The farmer places him on the ground and observes Gulliver closely with his friends. Gulliver courteously tips his hat at them and bows. He then tries to talk to them in several languages and raises his voice to make himself audible or heard. The farmer too brings his ear close to Gulliver but cannot understand what he tries to convey.
Time for another question. What barrier or obstacle do you think comes in the way of Gulliver's communication with the monstrous farmers?
It is obvious that language becomes the major barrier. Gulliver cannot communicate with the inhabitants of the strange land because they speak a different language. The other obstacle that stands in his way of communication is, of course, his size. Since he is too little compared to the reapers, he thinks that his voice is not reaching them and speaks louder. The farmer also brings his ear close to Gulliver, but realizes that he's speaking a language none of them can understand.
We next find Gulliver in the farmer's house. The farmer puts Gulliver on the dining table, which is 30 feet above the floor.
Dinner is served in dishes which are 10 feet in diameter. The farmer's wife thoughtfully crumbles some bread and offers it to Gulliver. As he is eating his dinner, the farmer's wife strokes a purring cat, which is 10 times larger than an ox. Next, Gulliver meets the farmer's 1-year-old son. Before he realizes what is happening, the baby grabs him from the table and inserts his head into his mouth. The baby probably mistakes Gulliver for one of his dolls. Gulliver shouts so loudly that the baby is startled and drops him. The baby's mother catches Gulliver in her apron in time, or he would have broken his neck. She lays him down in her own bed and blankets him with a clean white handkerchief.
Gulliver must have been homesick in that alien land, because at the end of the story, we find him dreaming of his family and his home. With that, we come to the end of our video lesson on Gulliver's travel. How do you think the giant-sized people behave with Gulliver? Are they cruel and hostile towards him? And do they consider Gulliver their enemy? No, they behave in kind and friendly manner with Gulliver. One of the farmers carry him home. His wife offers him food and also protects him from her son. She lets him sleep in her own bed. See you soon in our other videos. Till then, happy learning!